Help me get to 1,000 subscribers. Please support the video by hitting like and sharing your thoughts below. I read every single comment. Thank you. I didn't feel uneasy when Emma said she was flying to Chicago for her cousin's wedding. Weddings were obligations, not warning signs. 3 days, 2 nights, plenty of photos, forced smiles, awkward dancing, and small talk with relatives she barely recognized. I helped her pack her suitcase. I kissed her goodbye at the airport. I asked her to text when she landed, and I meant it. We've been married for 12 years. Long enough to know each other's rhythms, habits, and silences. Long enough to trust without checking phones or asking questions that felt unnecessary. Emma was outgoing, warm, magnetic. People naturally gathered around her. I was quieter, an accountant, steady, predictable, reliable. We complemented each other. Or at least that's what I believed. The first day she was gone felt ordinary. I worked late, ordered takeout, watched a documentary I knew she'd hate. That evening, she texted a photo from the reception. She was wearing a navy dress, smiling broadly, her arm around her cousin. Long day, she wrote. Tired but happy. I sent back a heart emoji and went to sleep. The second day was quieter. No photos, just brief texts. Busy. Running on coffee. We'll talk tomorrow. I didn't push. Weddings are chaotic. Family can drain you. I told myself that was all it was. When she came home Sunday night, I noticed it immediately. Not anything obvious. Nothing you could point at and say, that's it. It was more subtle. She hugged me, but her arms felt stiff, distracted. Her smile came a second too late. She smelled different. Not perfume, something else. Clean, unfamiliar. How was it? I asked as I lifted her suitcase. Fun, she said too quickly. Long.
I'm exhausted.
She went straight to the shower, longer than usual. I sat on the bed scrolling my phone, listening to the water run, trying to ignore the unease creeping up my spine. When she came out, she put on pajamas, slid into bed, and barely spoke. She fell asleep fast. I didn't. Over the next few days, the small things accumulated. She was on her phone more, but distant. She stepped into other rooms to take calls. When I asked if everything was okay, she smiled and said she was just tired, still recovering from the trip. I wanted to believe her. I tried. Thursday night, while she was in the shower, her phone buzzed on the nightstand. I glanced over out of habit, expecting spam or a group chat. Instead, I saw a preview. Still thinking about last night. Can't believe we finally talked. My stomach dropped. I didn't touch the phone. I didn't open the message. I just stared until the screen went dark. When she came out, I pretended to be asleep. The next morning, she left her phone on the kitchen counter while she took out the trash. It buzzed again. Same contact, just a first name, Ryan. This time I picked it up. I told myself I deserved clarity. I unlocked it. There were dozens of messages. Nothing graphic. Worse than that, familiar. Inside jokes. Late-night conversations. References to moments I knew nothing about. You coming back to Chicago anytime soon? That weekend was dangerous. I haven't felt that alive in years. I sat there, phone in my hand, my heartbeat pounding in my ears. When she walked back in, I was still holding it. She froze. The color drained from her face. It's not what you think, she said immediately. I looked at her and realized something painful. She wasn't panicking. She was relieved, like a weight had finally been uncovered. Then tell me what it is, I said. She lowered herself into a chair, slowly, like her legs might give out. She didn't cry. She didn't reach for me. She stared at the floor. I didn't plan it, she said. It just happened. That's when I knew. It wasn't an accident. It was a choice. I didn't interrupt. I didn't raise my voice. I waited because I needed to hear how she justified unraveling 12 years with words that small. She told me Ryan was an old college friend she hadn't seen in years. They ran into each other at the rehearsal dinner. One drink became 2. One conversation turned into hours. She said it felt easy. Familiar. Like stepping into a version of herself she'd forgotten. I asked if she slept with him. She hesitated, and that pause told me everything before she answered. She nodded once, barely. She said it the way someone admits to spilling wine on a dress, regrettable, temporary, unfortunate. I asked if she was ever going to tell me. She shook her head. I didn't want to hurt you. That line almost made me laugh. Almost. She tried to explain why. She said we'd drifted. That life felt routine. That she didn't feel seen the way she used to. She said Ryan listened. That he made her feel wanted. I noticed she kept saying felt, never was. Feelings are easier to defend than actions. I told her I needed space. Not a night. Not a walk. Real space. I packed a bag and went to my brother's place across town. That night, lying on his couch, I replayed the past year, searching for signs I'd ignored. I found late dinners, fewer questions about my day, More time spent elsewhere even when she was home. None of it screamed betrayal. All of it whispered neglect. The next morning I called a lawyer. Not out of anger, but clarity. I needed to understand my options. I needed to know what protecting myself looked like now. The lawyer listened quietly, then asked a question that stayed with me. Do you think you can trust her again? I didn't answer right away. Then I said no. The certainty surprised me. When I returned home to talk, Emma was waiting at the table like she'd rehearsed it. She apologized. She cried this time. She said she'd cut off contact. She said it was a mistake she'd spend the rest of her life trying to fix. I believed she was sorry. I didn't believe she was finished wanting what she'd tasted. I asked to see her phone again. She handed it over. The messages were gone. That told me more than if they'd remained. You don't erase things you truly regret. You erase things you hope won't be discovered. I told her I was filing for divorce. She stared at me like she didn't understand the words. She suggested counseling. She said people recover from worse. She said it was just one weekend. I told her it wasn't about the weekend. It was about coming back changed and expecting me not to notice. The process was quieter than I imagined. No shouting, no slammed doors. Just paperwork and conversations that divided a shared life into boxes. Friends chose sides. Family asked questions I didn't want to answer. Emma moved out. The house felt empty, but honest. A month later, I heard she'd gone back to Chicago. I didn't ask why. I didn't need to. Whatever she was chasing wasn't something I could compete with, and I didn't want to. What surprised me most was the relief. The absence of second-guessing. I slept better. I thought more clearly. The constant low-level anxiety I'd carried faded. I realized how long I'd been shrinking to keep the peace. People asked if I hated her. I didn't. I hated the version of my marriage that required me to accept less than honesty. I hated the quiet compromises that taught her I'd stay no matter what. The wedding gave her memories. It gave me truth. Painful, yes, but clean. I didn't file for divorce because she cheated. I filed because when she did, she crossed a line she never came back from. Some endings don't arrive with explosions. They arrive with a calm realization that staying would cost you more than leaving ever could. And once you see that clearly, you can't unsee it. I still think about that night sometimes. Not with anger, but acceptance. It showed me who we were becoming, and who I refused to keep becoming. That decision saved my dignity, my future, and my peace. Finally,